Whether or not federal workers get paid during a government shutdown, well, it depends on the political ideology of the agency, allegedly. Supposedly, that's where we're at right now. If you weren't aware, there are these labels that are placed on federal agencies. Some of them, there are conservative agencies. Other ones are a little bit more liberal, progressive, Democrat agencies. I don't know if you knew this. This is something that we're all learning. They're not literal labels, but it's just the idea that the Trump administration has. So whether or not you get paid depends on the mission that you do. And the best way to describe this is when you're a kid and your mom or your dad gives you a bag of candy, you hit the playground and you got about 20 pieces of candy. You got some people in school you like. You got some people in school that are okay. You got some people you really don't like. You don't want to go anywhere near them. Those people aren't getting candy. In fact, the people that you're just okay with, they're not going to get candy either. But the ones you're cool with, the ones that you hang out with, you like them, they're going to get the candy. So let's talk about who's getting the candy, who's getting paid. Number one, the military, and I have no problems with it. I love that the military is getting paid. I was in the Army for over 20 years, and I'm all about paying the warfighter. I think it's a great thing. They shouldn't have to worry about their pay. A lot of them make less than minimum wage if you actually calculate how many hours they work, especially during field training exercises and deployments. It's a lot. They deserve it. They need it. Pay the troops. Great. Next, the Coast Guard. Now, you can easily lump the Coast Guard with the military, but the Coast Guard is actually in the Department of Homeland Security. They're going to get paid as well, allegedly. Wonderful thing. The FBI, under the Department of Justice, they want to pay not everybody in the FBI, but the special agents. We need people on the streets cracking down on Antifa, apparently, because Antifa, they're stirring the pot. They're causing a ruckus in a lot of major cities. Allegedly, that's what's happening here. So we need the FBI special agents out there making us feel safe. Now, the administrative support that supports the special agent, that makes the whole thing come together, your IT folks, your HR, your admin, not them. At least not yet. Those individuals, don't hold your breath. The paycheck's not coming. At least it's not coming right now. Then we have another agency under DHS, Border Patrol. So you got Border Patrol agents, you got Air and Marine agents. These are the interdiction folks. They're going to get paid because this falls in line with immigration enforcement. That's a top priority. So these people, these workers, federal employees, they were going to continue to do the mission anyway, whether they got paid or not. But when you pay someone, you know what happens when you pay them? Well, it does a little something to morale, right? Because everybody wants to get paid for their efforts. They want to be compensated for their time and their energy. So it makes people, it makes them feel better about the job. Now, here again, the administrative support that keeps this operation running, they're not going to get paid. They're going to have to figure out some other type of way to survive. Maybe they have to take out a loan. Hopefully it's a low interest loan or a no interest loan. Look at USAA, look at Navy Federal Credit Union, and there's some other banks out there that are trying to do the right thing. I am all about federal employees getting paid. You got a few different categories that's happening right now, but there's two main ones I want to focus on. You have your accepted federal worker. They're working, they're not getting paid. You have your furloughed worker. They're not working and they're not getting paid. Both of them are getting back pay. Now, there's been threats that say the opposite, like the furloughed workers, we might not be paying them. That falls under the column of ridiculousness. It's just ridiculous to say that because there's a clear law that covers furloughed federal employees. So that should happen. But the question I want to pose to you right now is, when is this government shutdown going to end? How many more days? Is it going to be like Halloween, the last day of October? Is it going to be the first week of November? Is it going to go past November 6th? But we're in the third week of this shutdown. And currently it seems that Congress is more than okay to allow the majority of the American public to continue to suffer. From federal workers to private sector workers that depend on federal funding like contractors. It's okay for everyone just to suffer a little bit longer until their political power is threatened, not by a constituent, no, by a donor, by someone who actually writes the checks. When they feel that pain, they will be able to compromise. Now, if you or somebody you know works in a federal agency that I did not mention, like HUD, EPA, SBA, there's a lot of federal agencies out there. There's hundreds of them. And if it's not directly related to law enforcement or national security, you're probably not going to get anything unless you're exempted. But if you're an accepted worker, if you're working right now and you're in a more administrative type agency, or let's just call it what the administration calls it, a Democrat agency. If you're in a Democrat agency, well, from the administration's perspective, you're just lucky to have a job as of right now. That could easily change. So you picked the wrong agency. That's what happened. You applied to a job on usajobs.gov and you picked the wrong agency. They wanted you in ICE instead. They want you over at Border Patrol instead right now. They want you at the Bureau of Prisons. They want you to kick cages over there. But you're in the EPA or you're in the USDA, and that was just the wrong choice for you. Maybe if you wore a 9mm on your hip, or if you carried an M4 rifle, maybe you could get paid during these times. But what ends up happening is a lot of people, they're gravitated towards an agency's mission. Like HUD, for example. Here's the interesting thing about HUD. So HUD benefits way more people than you would think. There are a lot of people that are for downsizing the government, but they grew up in an FHA loan house, meaning their parents had to take out an FHA loan. Otherwise, they would not have grown up in a single family house. They would have grown up in a trailer park or somewhere else. But because HUD was there offering that program, that's how they were able to enjoy their childhood or whatever the case. A lot of people fall into that category. And the interesting thing, there's a very deep relationship when you look at the president and HUD, because President Trump's father, Fred Trump, made a lot of money with the FHA loan. The FHA loan backed a lot of the apartment complexes that Fred Trump was building in New York. So that kind of started the money that President Trump grew up in. So it's just not Fred Trump, it's a lot of people, but HUD benefits a lot. Not just HUD, but look at the SBA for a moment. SBA provides, they guarantee loans to small businesses. So in that regard, that allows jobs to be created. It's like 60,000, 70,000 small businesses have attained an SBA loan, and that business was able to be created. And because of that money, they were able to hire employees for their business. So that's a ton of jobs. It could be upwards of over 1 million jobs in some situations. And SBA was there to allow that to happen. So when you look at these agencies and you just paint them with the brush of, this is a Democrat agency, this is what do they call it? A radical left agency, or it's super progressive and we need to get rid of it. Really, I don't think the American public understands exactly what these agencies do. Okay, in addition to that, we have contractors that are able to exist. Those jobs are able to exist because of taxpayers. Like you, like me, we pay taxes. The money, the federal dollars, go out in grants and contracts, and it allows millions of employees to actually have a job. Somewhere upwards of 10 million jobs are created with federal dollars. It's not just the federal workforce. Federal workforce is 2 million. So we're talking about 5 times larger than the federal workforce. And these people that are working, some of them are still working right now, they might not necessarily get back pay. Now, some of them will, some of them won't, but there's a new bill that was introduced into Congress in order to ensure contractors would receive a portion of their back pay and also their leave benefits. So if you're interested in that, check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.